podcast where three bit of film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condo with Kate, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And semi-regular co-host, Mr. Sheets himself.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, guys.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Sheet. Andy.
Your beard is looking very nice. Trimmed. What's the word? Tamed.
Well kept.
Tamed. Well, yeah.
Tamed.
Smart.
Well
kept. Smart. Pretty.
Smart. Lovely.
Just going to keep complimenting your beard. It's nice.
Straight lines.
Yeah. Lovely.
Delightful.
What have you guys been up to today?
What have I been up to today? I've been looking after children, which is fun. My children, only one of them. I've not just been randomly offering up my babysitting services to anyone who's passing me by. Did take a little wander into Forbidden Planet. I was looking for some comics. I was looking for this Deceased run. You heard much about that?
It's the Deceased, like DC version of Marvel Zombies. Yeah. I've heard of it, but I've not read any yet. Is it any good?
Well, I haven't read it yet because I was going to pick it up and delve into it, but I took my nephew and then he just got distracted by the Funko Pops to the point where he had a tantrum because he wanted one of them, and then I had a tantrum because I wanted one, and then I kind of forgot about the comic, and then I walked out and that was it. So that was pretty terrible, awful day really.
I love the Marvel Zombie comics. I remember them being really good, or really fun anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Have you read the one where it's Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness that has Ash from Evil Dead himself? I think that might have been my favourite one.
How does Ash compete against like a zombie Hulk?
I'm not sure he meets the Hulk, but it goes very well. He has a great time. So obviously he's used to dealing with zombies, right?
Yeah.
There's an Army of Darkness comic as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. I've read a few issues. It's pretty funny.
And the game, I think. As well. Yeah. What about you, Andy? What have you been up to?
Just regular work. There was no real slowdown for us at work. So just been busy doing the day job. And I've had a poorly dog recently, so we've been back and forth to the vets with him. He is fine now, though he's on the mend.
Nice.
Good to hear it.
Yeah, good man.
Other than that, just playing a few games, getting things finished. I finally, after the big announcement of the Village, guess this segues nicely into what we've been reading and watching. I finished Resident Evil 7 and all the DLC at very last.
Amazing.
Finally got to the end. It was great. It was such a good time.
What was the DLC?
There's a few. There's the banned footage ones, which are
I remember now.
There's like a horde mode, and there's the one that's like an escape room puzzle. Which was really good. There's one where you play like kind of like cards, but that it's like Saw. As you know, if you don't win your round of 21s, then you get your fingers broken off or burned up. But it's actually the story DLC is pretty. Well, actually, one of them I was a little bit. I felt it rushed it a little bit because it goes through the night that the family bring the little girl home that sort of starts the event.
Oh yeah, I'd like to play
But whereas the files in the game indicate that like it's meant to have been quite a slow process, it happens over the course of about 10 minutes, which it kind of undercuts the dread of the story. But the other piece was a wild bit. It's set the bits that are set afterwards. So there's the Chris Redfield one where you go and chase down Lucas.
Not a hero, is that?
That was decent.
Yeah.
That's the one. That was good fun. Like nice little bit of just a bit more action, and play.
There was a real big enemy, like the molded dude, wasn't there?
Yeah, big there's big bloaty ones that like explode and let out these little crab beasts as well.
As a big fan of Resident Evil, would you say because what I kind of felt about Resident Evil 7 was that it didn't feel like Resident Evil until suddenly it did.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that?
Yeah, exactly. It felt. You wouldn't have had to put a Resident Evil sticker on it until Lucas turns up and you get to sort of that halfway area when you go into his like area where the experiments begin to creep in a little bit more and you start to get like bioweapon stuff. put in there.
Yeah.
The last bit of DLC that comes at the very end, though, which explains what happens to the good sister, Zoe.
Yeah.
That one's crazy. Like you
Is
go
that where you
like
play the
that's
granddad or something?
yeah, that's right. You play as I think it's the uncle.
granddad.
You play as the uncle who lives out in the swamp punching alligators, literally. And he comes up and he finds Zoe, and you can get a few weapons like spears and a couple of I think you can pick up some weapons, but you can equally, and there are like trophies and achievements tied to this, go through the entirety of his campaign just punching enemies to death.
I've seen. I want to play it. It looks fun.
It's really good. And later on in this segment, you get Robot Punch. The Umbrella Corporation have left a special robot punchy glove that you can find, and then you can punch things
Very
even
nice.
harder.
Andy.
Yeah.
Good times. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to that because I think I missed a couple of the bits of DLC, or I started them and didn't quite progress with them.
It's good, and then it's got me hyped to see more about the village.
How do you rate? Because you're a big Resi person, big Resi man. How do you rate this one against the others?
It's top tier, but it's different. If I want my quintessential Resident Evil experience, I don't think you can go wrong with the remakes of 2 or Nemesis. I think that is very Resident Evil for me. This is still like an absolute top tier action horror game, but if I was going to go back to a Resident Evil game, I would probably someone turns up and says, because magic, I'm going to delete all the others. I'd probably keep the remake of 2, but it's right up there. It's very, very good, and I'm looking forward to 8, which looks to have a similar sort of aesthetic and style to 7. To being a first-person game. I'm up for it.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'd like to play 7 again at some point. I really did enjoy it, and I need to play that punchy one as well. That's fun.
Yeah, the Punchy Man is a lot of fun. It's a very different type of gameplay because you're not thinking about, how many bullets am I going to take on this? You properly dive into the fights because you can just punch the molded to death and do quite fun little combos, like weaving around them and like punching their heads off.
Yeah. So you've been playing Resi lots. Have you been watching anything or?
No, mostly just getting through the games. I think I mentioned to you guys I got I got PSVR for my birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I've been catching up on a few games there. I've got The Last of Us to catch up on as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil first, and then I'll take a nice little palate cleanser with some Astro Bot, and then I'll be back into some horror for The Last of Us.
Cool. What about you, Ben?
Lovely. Do you want me to drop some news on you?
Oh yeah.
Couple of bits. Not too much. We'll be quick.
Is it all like disappointing?
So obviously the main.
I feel like we've got lots of disappointing news recently.
I guess it is the never-ending train of disappointment, and it rolls on and on and on. So the big news this week was that Halloween Kills, the sequel to the 2018 Halloween movie, has been bumped to 2021, October 15th. I saw this announcement and it didn't register with me for a while. It was like, it's been bumped to October 2021, and in my head I was thinking, that's not much of a bump. Like completely forgot what year it was for a second. And then John Carpenter did post sort of a post from him and David Gordon Green explaining why they've kind of done it. And then nicely they dropped like 30-second teaser clip, which is kind of like directly from the end of Halloween 2018. Did you guys watch this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. So she yells. Does she shout? Does Laurie Strode shout, let him burn, or let it burn?
Let it burn the house.
Let it burn.
Or let
the
shape burn.
Yeah, because I thought she said let him burn. I don't know. I was having a bad day, I think, when I was watching it, and nothing was kind of registered for me. But yeah,
I'm just going to mistake it for thinking she was singing along to the roof. The roof is on fire. Said, it's all very well you singing, Laurie Strode. We got work to do. They'll put that fire out, and Michael Myers will be at it again.
Yeah,
laughed into my coffee. Then that was nice. Yeah. So obviously, I guess we want this film to do well, so it'd be good if everything really just went, okay, 2021 it is, because if things are coming out in August, September, it's probably still going to be a little while before people are wanting to go back to the cinema and in any normal way. Although I think I did say on one of the previous episodes that I thought everyone was going to flock to the cinemas because of how they've been treating, I don't know, jogging in lockdown. Oh, we can go to the cinema, can we? Let's go. Let's all go. But I don't actually think it's going to be like that at all.
Is it open for you, the cinema?
I don't know, actually.
Because Cineworld was going to be open already, but I'm not sure whether the background is that a lot of their staff weren't happy because of lack of preparations, or it was truly about the fact that they pulled back on it because there weren't going to be any films out for them to watch. I know the original plans were to open at the start of this month and do like classics. I think they were advertising like Empire Strikes Back and stuff.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back was like the #1 film again at the box office.
Yeah, it was. And it said for the first time in like 20 years, so I'm assuming it was again when they did the the
remasters.
They do like the remasters,
yeah.
Apart from that, more Halloween news which kind of dropped just before.
Bet that news would kill my dad, because I remember going to the Empire Strikes Back remaster and he was like, it was so long ago since I went to watch it the first time. If I'm like that, it was 20 years since that. He would die. He'd have a heart attack, I'm
just
sure.
Fade away like Infinity War.
So it's been 40 years.
Yeah.
Jesus. And then he'll look at you and go, God, you're old as well.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter did say just before this announcement that the cut for Halloween Kills was done. And his work is done, apparently. A fun, intense, brutal slasher movie times 100. And he also said, I've never seen anything like the kill count. So why is Michael Myers? How many people did he kill in Halloween 2018?
Not a huge. 10, I imagine.
Why in this sequel has he gone absolutely apeshit?
He's been doing some self-improvement. He's really got his goal set now.
I saw that a couple of days ago. It was 18 years since Halloween Resurrection as well. Always worth celebrating. Busta Rhymes versus
Is that the Busta
Michael
Rhymes
Myers,
one?
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And what else? I don't know if there was much else. I think so Candyman is still apparently going to come out this year, but that got bumped to October the 16th.
That's fine.
Rather than I think it's going to be like end of September.
Yeah.
So I think initially it was supposed to come out in June, wasn't it? So it had a fair.
See, they've had
this year.
They've kind of played a blinder, haven't they? Because they've been able to knock back a bit, and they're still in spooky season.
Yeah.
With Halloween, as you would expect to come out in October anyway, they're kind of a little bit stuck. But if you knock it beyond the date you're planning, you may as well go to next year, because Halloween's not really a January movie, is it? You're not going to do it over the festive season. There'll be something nice with Emilia Clarke, around the festive period or Halloween.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I saw was, I don't know if you guys saw this. So on Kickstarter, a company called Jewel Drop Games launched this game that looks like a survival horror called Death Ground, a cross between Alien Isolation and Dino Crisis. Yeah. So you've got sort of like a movement tracker device, and you're trying to avoid dinosaurs. And this looks spot on for dinosaur games. Are kind of few and far between. So to see something that would rely on the success, I guess, of Alien Isolation.
Speaking of dinosaur horror, did you watch that? It's like a little indie thing that some 3D modeler had made, and it's just recreated a scene from Jurassic Park. And you can get the little jeep, and you can go and see the tall neck dinosaurs, whatever they're called.
Long neck mag daddy.
Yeah. Did you see that video? I think I put the video somewhere.
I saw you post the video, but I didn't get around to watching it. I'm gonna have to go back, aren't I?
But
it's quite extensive, wasn't it?
I won't.
And the T-Rex was just chilling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I won't spoil. But it's. I would love to see that as a full game. Like, it's horror dinosaurs, but not in any way that you're thinking. Like an
open world Jurassic Park where you can go anywhere on the map would be pretty sick. We kind of had that in Lego Jurassic World, But you know, a
sounds
survival
great.
horror focus one would be crazy.
I don't even
And
need a
also-
survival horror focus. I'd just like to have a walk around Jurassic Park and have like
Oh,
an
yeah.
amazing time as John Hammond intended. Just have like a brilliant day.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a lot since like coronavirus. There's been a lot of talk about Jurassic Park and comparisons to like things reopening too soon. People saying, "Oh, you know what else opened too soon? Jurassic Park." But it didn't. It never opened.
Never
That was
opened.
the point, wasn't it?
It failed its inspection. Those
Yeah.
experts didn't sign off,
Yeah.
and it didn't open. It opened 20 years later or so, and then ran very successfully for a time
Yeah.
Yeah.
until big business got in the way of you know, proper safety precautions.
So people keep sharing that and sort of saying with a knowing wink, saying, "Come on, guys, you know what else opened too soon? We all know what happened there." I just think, have you seen the film?
Yeah, get a school,
God.
mate. Fuck off.
God! Ah. There is a pretty good Twitter account at the moment. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I'll try and give you the gist of it. And it's basically is somebody tweeting as if Jurassic Park is a open park and coronavirus has affected it. So they've quite smartly interjected like various videos about coronavirus with bits from the film, so it looks like the park is sort of posting these various announcements that the park's going to be reopened and what's happening to the dinosaurs during coronavirus. Quite interesting. I think it might just be called Jurassic Park Updates. Something similar to that. Jurassic Park to go, possibly. Yeah. And
I'm already
it
coming
is
out of
pretty
this
funny.
session with so many new accounts to follow and things to watch and games to back. I think I'm gonna have to go and back that game immediately. I haven't seen a single screenshot yet, but you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Once you back that, go watch that. I nearly gave away the thing about it. Yeah, but yeah,
I don't
it's
know
very
if I
surprising.
saw. I don't know if I saw the
So watch
thing.
the whole thing.
It's
They're
about-
saying there's a thing.
Well, you think you know what the game is? It's like a little exploratory demo thing, and then it's got this whole other.
And then you go.
There's a whole other
And you
thing.
go inside. Yeah.
He goes
If
inside.
Dennis Nedry hacks my computer as a result.
I don't want to spoil, but so it's like, you know, when people say like it's this meets this. Well, it's Jurassic Park meets this other thing that you were not expecting, but to go, that works so well. I would love to see that as a fully realized project.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go and watch this. Any guesses on what the other thing is yet, Ben? Completely cold before we go in.
I must have stopped. I must have stopped watching it like just before an important part happened because I watched quite a lot of it. I've done myself in here. Okay, we'll go and watch it and find out. Apart from that, that's all the news I've got.
Cool.
So I guess you didn't have anything else in terms of what you've been watching, right, Andy?
One other thing, I watched a short video from I primarily know him as an independent comics writer, a guy called Todd Spence. He sent me a video that he was working on with some of his collaborators. A very short, like a true crime mockumentary. It's quite stylistically done. I've just had to pull up the title. It's called The Third Eye Cult Murders. Third Eye Cult Murders police video. It's on YouTube right now. I watched it. It's very stylized. It's done like almost like a late 70s, early 80s, that kind of detective. He's filming with a handy cam going through these murders. It's like going through a murder scene. And I was watching this in the middle of the day, and when I was watching it towards the end, I went from watching quite casually to like, it's getting a bit tense here. Let me just lean forward a little bit so I'm not surprised by anything that's going to happen. And it was really good. It's really stylishly done. It's worth checking out. It's only about 5 minutes long.
Cool. I'll check that out.
Sweet. Made a note of that.
What about you, Ben?
So I watched a couple of bits of horror. I guess I've watched quite a lot this week, but I only talk about the horror stuff here. So I watched Session 9 for the first time. I'd never seen that before. It was on a poster that I bought, which like scratch off top 100 horror movies, and I had about 10 left, and this was one of them. And it's on Netflix now, and it was really, really good. It was really really unexpected. Have you guys seen this?
No, I've heard it's good. I've heard it's pretty.
It's kind of
pretty
shot. It's shot digitally. It reminds me a bit of 28 Days Later in terms of it just feels like just the realism is really there. It was really atmospheric, and it's like a trope, I guess, that we've seen so many times: abandoned mental asylum. But it's not what you expect, and it's got a few tasty twists. It's like a slow burn, and there's like tension between these several unhinged characters. David Caruso is in it for some reason. The dude from CSI Miami.
I was say the CSI guy. Is he wearing sunglasses and he gives some quotes as he's going, or is that just the one character? Doesn't do that for everything.
He might wear sunglasses, but he has got. There's a fantastic moment with him. I won't ruin it, but it feels like it's from another film, and I was pissing myself. But yeah, it's good. It's an odd one, but I enjoyed it. And I watched a couple of new ones. So I watched a film called Relic from the director Natalie Erica James. I think it's her featured debut. Don't know if you've seen trailer for this or posters or anything.
I've not seen the trailer, but the poster gave me big Resident Evil 7 vibes because everyone looks mouldy.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Mold.
There's an old woman on the thing. On
the
poster.
That's
okay.
Right. Yeah. Mold plays a really big part in this film. As you've both not seen it, I won't go into it too much, but it was a really effective, like multifaceted horror
multifaceted.
Multifaceted horror. It kind of felt really familiar because of stuff like Hereditary, but at the same time, it did a lot. There's a particular sequence that reminded me of something else. It reminded me of something else, but it did it really well. not Jurassic Park. There were no velociraptors jumping out. But yeah, it does it really well. It reminds me. Okay, I don't know what to say without. There's no way I can compare it to this without potentially spoiling something. So, but yeah, I thought it was really good, and I recommend it. And the other thing I saw this week was a film called The Beach House, which was on Shudder. Don't know if you guys have seen this advertised.
I've seen all of these floating around on Twitter. People have been talking about them.
This was it. This was floating around, and I kind of saw the word Lovecraftian. I saw the words body horror.
Yeah.
And I think someone said Cronenberg describing this.
That's for me.
I thought it was for me, yeah, but I didn't get on with it at all. I found it like a slog, and by the time things started kicking off, it was kind of over. And no, I just didn't hold my interest at all. I found it a little bit naff. A couple of decent body horror moments, but there's definitely like a weird meandering section in the film where there's lots of stuff happening in the dark, and I just couldn't work out what the hell was going on, really.
Do you feel that, like, I don't know, not necessarily this film, but do you feel terms like Lovecraftian are sometimes a bit overused because it's just, I was about to say, is it in vogue? But actually, like, it's a guy who was writing stories a very long time ago. I sometimes find that they use Lovecraftian for, if there's a monster that we won't really describe and it might have tentacles, then Lovecraftian, stick it in there.
Especially if it's got tentacles, then you have to get the Lovecraftian title on there somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I wouldn't, like, having seen this film and seeing how it's being described, I wouldn't say that was the case at all. It kind of, I feel like the lead actors as well were a bit like, I don't know, there was nothing about them that I found particularly engaging, and maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah,
maybe that's part of the bloody problem, mate. But
so
of
the two, watch Relic then, I guess. Relic,
definitely, yeah. Really enjoyed Relic. There's a couple of other horrors coming out or available soon that I've had my eye on. A film called The Rental with Dan Stevens and Alison Brie. Apparently might be dropping video on demand this month. I'm not 100% sure. That's about two couples who rent this vacation home and something happens.
Alison Brie in a horror film. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much what I thought.
Yeah.
Those guys are very good. I'll give that a shot.
Yeah.
And
I think Saint Maud was supposed to come out this month, but I think that has been pushed back. So another I think it's A24 horror. I don't think I did much in terms of watching trailers and stuff, but yeah, I think that's been pushed back. I think we might not get that till later this year. So forget that. Forget about it.
Get out.
Cool.
What about you, Luke?
I've been on a bit of a David Lynch kick. I listened to the audiobook Room to Dream, which is it's kind of like a biography. There'll be like a chapter which is really standard biography, tells you about a certain period of his life, and then it would just be a chapter of David Lynch talking about that period of his life, and he just goes on crazy little tangents. And he's such a weird and interesting guy. And I've always been a Lynch fan, but hearing him talk about the making of his films added like an extra little bit of context. So I really wanted to go back and watch them. So I watched Eraserhead again for the first time in years. And have you seen Eraserhead?
A long time ago. Like I probably watched it. Looking at the clock, like it's going to help me remember how many years ago. I would say about 10, 11 years ago. I watched it when we were in Korea, so a long time ago.
It's I mean, I wouldn't really call it a horror film. I don't know what kind of film you call it, but it's not an easy watch. I remember we had a film night, and my friends put on Talladega Nights, and that went down the storm, and then I followed it up with Eraserhead, and they lasted like 20
I've heard
minutes.
This story a couple of times.
It lasted like 20 minutes, when you got to turn this off. It's not an easy watch, but it is amazing. Like the fact that he made it, it's in like the early 70s. The practical effects he kind of made all of it himself. They filmed it over 5 years on and off when they had money. It's an amazing little story, and it's a weird, crazy film, and so stylish. And then I watched Blue Velvet, which I think for me is if you wanted to get a taste of Lynch, but you weren't too keen on the more obtuse films or obtuse stuff that he's done. Yeah, Blue Velvet is a great neo-noir thriller with some really sort of tense, scary moments with Frank Booth, played by, I can't remember his name now.
Is it Dennis Hopper?
Dennis Hopper.
Hopper.
Yeah, the Speed Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit of oxygen.
I've always liked that film.
What's in his tank?
I think I don't know actually. I think it's just oxygen or something. I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, that's just like it's just a great film. And then I watched Wild at Heart, which I didn't like the first time I watched it, which is Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. They're kind of like on a big road trip across America, and it just gets a bit weird at times, and it's got like a whole Wizard of Oz theme running through it. Harry Dean Stanton plays this detective who gets his head blown off. But this time again with this added context, I enjoyed it so much more because I could just appreciate that David Lynch doesn't give a fuck what if his things that he's making again go down well or anything. He just has these sort of ideas that he wants to experiment with. And
have you ever seen any like clips of him on set reacting to various things?
Do you mean like when he's like directing people and stuff, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few little clips. He's a weird guy. He's a really weird guy.
It must be quite liberating though. You can imagine like you have some directors who, the producers or whoever represents the studio will come in and be like, nah, they're not gonna like that. We're gonna have to change it like this. Can you imagine saying that to him and be like, don't care if people didn't get it?
It did happen in Dune. It was Dino De Laurentiis who was producing Dune, who had final cut of Dune, and apparently even Dino De Laurentiis says we ruined that film in the edit suite.
We've blown it,
yeah. But I mean, I don't know. There's a destructive process back then. If you could keep editing and editing and editing, but I think it's just a great book, and I'd recommend anyone who likes David Lynch, if you even kind of like his films, read or listen to this book, and you'll realise that he's just an amazing person. Like all these people who've worked with him, he's kind of cheated on wives. He's had these people who've been in and out of his life throughout however many years, and everybody loves him. He's just a really sweet, gentle person with a weird mind.
There you go. See, it is possible. You can be an auteur director and not be a bad bloke like some of the others are. Looking at you, Stanley.
Yeah, and that's about it really. It's just been kind of catching up on my David Lynch. I'm gonna work through most of them and then go on to Twin. I don't know if I do Twin Peaks just yet, but are you guys David Lynch people? Do you like David Lynch? I don't know.
I've done some of it. I've like I say, a long time ago. I've watched Eraserhead. I haven't it's never been readily available for anywhere. I haven't done all of Twin Peaks. I've seen bits of it, late nights as like a kid on TV when I was far too young to even attempt to get it. I do intend to go back. Is there anywhere where that's readily available? Is it streaming anywhere?
I don't know.
Or is it just you've just got to buy it if you want
It was on like Now TV at some point. I think the last time I watched it on Now TV, series 1 and 2, and then when the new lot came out, I think that was on there as well. So I'm sure you'll be able to get it. No, it'll be somewhere. It might be on Prime. I don't know.
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, the first season of Twin Peaks is pretty perfect. I think it's.
Yeah. I think the second series is because it's so long that it almost feels like it's trying to include a lot of ideas. But I think in terms of the first series, it's kind of perfect. I think the first series is 12 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Have you played Deadly Premonition? That's very it's compared to Twin Peaks quite a lot. It's a very polarizing game, right? For some people, it's their favorite. Other people think it is.
Heard of it? I think
terrible.
There's a sequel coming out soon.
It's about to drop. Certainly on the Switch. I think it's out imminently.
How old is the first one? When did the first one come
out? Deadly Premonition's like PS3, Xbox 360, so about 10 years old.
Okay, yeah.
Good stuff.
It's
stuff.
It's strange. It's very strange.
Cool. And then I watched Leprechaun last night, which wasn't quite as I understood it. I understood Leprechaun.
Whose idea was it to watch this? Because I can't remember who suggested it.
On the spreadsheet, right? It sounds like it's something that might be my fault, but I'm not sure this one is.
Nobody knows.
Have you guys seen it before?
Some of it. I remember the pogo scene, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of them, and I didn't dig it out in time because my house is still packed up for a move that may or may not happen. But I met Warwick Davis when I'd got the DVD collection, and I've got it signed. There's a picture of me with him kneeling I'm kneeling next
Amazing.
to him.
Too perfect.
And it's
I
signed,
need to see this.
It's signed in a gold pen that says, "Dear Andy, I want me gold. Love, Warwick." I will dig it out and I will post a picture if I can find it.
Please find that.
I put the picture in the DVD case. But I'll get it. I'll dig it out.
That's unreal. Not as good as that. But a friend of mine who works in a pub in Portishead one day just texted me out of the blue, and it was, "Look who came into the pub today," and it was a picture of him with Warwick Davis, and I was full of joy.
Warwick Davis is one of these people. I think he's people underestimate perhaps he's been in several of the biggest film franchises in the world.
Yeah.
Leprechaun,
Willow.
Obviously, Willow. But isn't he one of the few actors he's in most of the Star Wars films?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He's in Harry Potter as well.
Yeah.
And he's got his own quiz show, which I kind of respect
Tenable.
him even more so.
He had his own sitcom. Yeah, Tenable, yeah.
Yeah, he did have his own sitcom.
Life's Too Short has one of my favourite funny scenes with Liam Neeson trying to get into comedy. It's so funny.
Good stuff.
And
man.
I can confirm,
good stuff.
As far as the conversation I had with him goes, very nice man as well.
He seems really good. He hosted an episode of Nevermind the Buzzcocks as well, and he killed it. He was so funny in it. I missed Nevermind the Buzzcocks. That was a good show.
Yeah, if you're listening, Warwick, thumbs up.
Yeah. Although I've got to say, I'm not convinced by the Irish accent. Well, what is that accent?
It was 93. He was a young actor at the time, just cutting his teeth.
Yeah.
Ignore the fact that he'd been in Star Wars 10 years prior.
Yeah. That was just a one-off. Okay, so Leprechaun is a 1993 American horror comedy film written and directed by Mark Jones. It stars Warwick Davis in the title role and Jennifer Aniston in her film debut. An evil, sadistic leprechaun goes on a killing rampage in search of his beloved pot of gold.
There we go. All right, so
There we go. That's
nicely,
it.
I think.
that's it.
That's
Okay.
it.
Letterboxd have a 2.3 rating. Rotten
Out of
Tomatoes.
2.5.
Rotten Tomatoes has 23% critic score. User score is 32%. So I think the jury's still out. We aren't quite sure what people think of it. But it's an interesting film for sure.
Yeah, we know.
Who's in it? Warwick Davis, who I think started his acting career. He won a competition, didn't he, to be in Star Wars?
Did he win a competition?
To be an Ewok, I think. Yeah, and then that's how his acting career started.
So it says apparently David.
Go on.
He was originally cast as an extra Ewok, but when Kenny Baker, who was originally going to be Wicket, the main Ewok, fell ill,
Wicket.
George Lucas picked Davis to be the new Wicket after seeing how he carried himself as an Ewok. Come on, man. I'm an Ewok, mate. He's got spunk. Get him into the role of Wicket.
Got Moxie, kid. Get in there. You're the star.
Jennifer Aniston is in this. She won a competition to be a final girl. Maybe she did. She's pretty good in it. I think she's the best actor, the best performance in this film. I thought she sold it quite well.
I would never consider Jennifer Aniston like a great actress. Sorry, but I think she's good, and I think she's as good in this as I've ever seen her in anything. I don't think I've ever seen.
And she's still got those Rachelisms. Like the seeds are there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that's an audition role that landed her all those millions of dollars from Friends. I was going to say, Ben, I would have been like you. I would have probably said Jennifer Aniston, like very famous for Friends before I knew about the Leprechaun, and then probably fodder for cheesy, perfectly serviceable comedies, possibly opposite Adam Sandler. Have you seen a movie called Cake that she's in?
No.
That is
I've
phenomenal.
not.
It's like
Wait,
a
is this where
very
she
rare,
plays...
serious. Like she's a
Go on.
woman who is like racked with like chronic pain. It's got comedy elements. It's a fairly dark drama, but it becomes a comedy. We saw it on like one of those secret screenings at the cinema where you just go and whatever it is.
Yeah.
We were very surprised. She's excellent in it. Like I would like to see her do more serious stuff because she's actually very good. But yeah, nothing compares to her stunning debut. Started high, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think I like this than most episodes of Friends that I've watched more.
Ken Olant played someone called Nathan Murphy. I don't know which one that was.
Nathan is the regular painter, the one that is neither Ozzy or the kid.
Okay.
Yeah. And then was it say on their van? 3 dudes that paint or something like that. Does it say something like that? What if you fall out with one of them?
Yeah.
You got to get another
I guess
guy.
get a different dude. Yeah.
Mark Holton plays Ozzy Jones, who is the simple giant.
He is basically Mr. Tumble. Are you guys familiar with Mr. Tumble?
Is that kids?
I'm familiar with his work. Yeah.
It's a kid's thing where it's like a dude who looks a little just like that and dresses just like that, like in a shirt with like polka dots and some dungarees. I'm pretty sure that was what he was wearing, right?
He probably does a bit of painting, doesn't he? A bit of crafts.
Does a little bit of painting. Yeah, exactly. On the side, he's probably worth millions, but who else we got? There's the O'Grady's, isn't there? Yeah, go on.
Robert High Gorman is Alex Murphy. Is he the Dennis the Menace type kid?
Alex is the Dennis the Menace kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan, Ozzy, and Alex. So their names are the 3 dudes that paint, in case anyone wants to hire them.
Okay, yeah. Who are the O'Grady? Oh, okay, yeah, the O'Grady's. Okay, they're like the precursor.
So the kid from Leprechaun is also the kid. Is he the kid, or he's definitely in Mr. Nanny?
What's
I recognised him. I was like, hang on.
Mr. Nanny, Hulk Hogan.
Mr. Nanny.
Oh my god, is that what it is? The Hulk Hogan thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this kid.
I thought it was just called the Nanny. It's called Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny, yeah.
Yeah. The Nanny is Fran Drescher, and the sitcom. It's Mr. Nanny. That's Hogan.
Mr. Nanny. Okay. Yeah.
So there's going to be a Hulk Hogan biopic, isn't there? With what's his name? Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
And
with
apparently
Chris
he's bulking up to be bigger than Thor to play Hulk Hogan.
Is Hulk Hogan bigger than Thor? I don't feel like he is. Who
I don't
knows?
know. They're both fictional. They're both fictional characters.
Moustache is
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah, it's bulking up that.
That's why he's
stash.
bulking up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So even though I watched this film last night, I've got to say, I'm not entirely sure.
It's
what
alright,
happened.
Luke. I've got you
feel
some
like-
notes here. I think my first note begins here with Dan rich with gold, fucked on whiskey, and that's how it begins.
Yeah.
So a limo
Yeah.
pulls up outside a house, and we see a what we learn from when he speaks, an Irish gentleman gets out, downs
Daniel
a big,
O'Grady.
yeah, Daniel O'Grady downs a big bottle of whiskey, and his wife is furious because he's meant to have gone to Ireland to scatter his mom's ashes, only to post them back to her at their ranch. Dan quickly reveals that it's not his mother's ashes; it is in fact a leprechaun's gold, and he shows her that he's got a lot of goes, "Oh, we're rich," and his wife is having none of it, despite seeing the gold, and goes, "You are fucked on whiskey, Dan. I'm going to go and get the kettle on."
It was so cliche.
Yeah.
It was like an empty bottle of Jameson's whiskey that just rolled along the ground to show that he's obviously pissed right up. His wife, who was billed only as Mrs. O'Grady.
Doesn't have a first name.
Oh my god, it was ridiculous. I want the backstory. I want a film, which is a prequel, to show us how he came. How did he come about? How did he get the gold?
There is a film called Leprechaun Origins that came out like 2013, so that maybe that will cover it next week, guys. Tune in.
So yeah, he pretty much doesn't he like bury the gold pretty much straight away.
He nips off to hide the gold while his wife gets the kettle on, but she hears a little whispery voice coming from Dan's suitcases, going, "Please let me out. I'm trapped in the suitcase. The suitcase.
What
I'm
does she think?
suffocating."
What does
So-
she think that Dan O'Grady's like come back and he's like trafficked a child or
Yeah,
something?
maybe he's famous for going on this exact type of bender where you go to Ireland and you post a kid back and you post your mum's ashes and your gold and you turned up absolutely steaming. But she goes and opens Dan's suitcase, but oh no, it's not a suffocating child at all. It's the leprechaun.
It's the evil Warwick Davis leprechaun. So obviously not a standard looking leprechaun. This is like a horror leprechaun. He's all
I like the
evil
makeup.
looking.
I think the makeup's pretty good. It's a pretty nice, tasty looking leprechaun. That.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a lovely classic leprechaun suit. It does look his outfit does look like he's just found it in a joke shop or something.
Yeah, he has
It doesn't
stripy
necessarily
socks. He has little gold buckles on his shoes. He's got
A little hat. It got me gold. So how did this happen? I know he's magic. I know that, but how did he get in there?
Well, how does he get in
How did he get
space?
through customs?
Well, he explains. This is all you need to know. It's like that Simpsons, where there's something you can't explain. A wizard did it. We come to it a little bit later when Dan, when he comes home in a bit, is furious to know how the leprechaun found him, and he does say, "The wee people, we have our ways." That's all you need to know. But
Yeah.
The wee
So-
people.
the wee people have their ways. So he's magicked himself over, and he gives Mrs. O'Grady a bit of a fright, and she takes a tumble. I had to watch that. But she stacks it down the stairs. She proper concertinas herself on the stairs down into the basement. And the
Devastating.
leprechaun, adding what some might say is insult to injury, goes and gets on the tea that she's just brewed up.
Oh yeah, he does.
He goes
Yeah.
and he goes.
Oh,
"No,
bastard."
she has a lovely cup of tea." The Dan comes back, and the leprechaun is imitating Mrs. O'Grady's voice, saying, "Oh, did you?" I won't do it. It'll be.
Fancy a lovely,
Yeah,
fancy a lovely pot of tea there, Mr. O'Grady.
You go, "Oh, where did you hide the gold, Dan? Did you?" And it was like, you know what, Leprechaun, what you've done there, instead of turning that into taunting him, if you just kept up the charade to say, "Oh, where did you hide the gold?" he might have told you. You go, "Oh, put it in an old car." But no, you've you've blown it too soon, the Leprechaun, and you immediately taunt Dan O'Grady that you've pushed his wife down the stairs, broken her neck and killed her, and then very insistently continue to ask for me gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tea looks like it's been brewing for yonks as well.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good tea.
That's gonna be stewed. There's gonna be like that sort of not quite a skin because that's the milk, but you know, see like almost oily patches on the top.
Not into that.
And it's still steaming like crazy. It's like got dry ice in the teapot or something.
Hasn't Daniel O'Grady got a gun or something at this point?
He does. When he finds out the leprechaun has killed his wife, he is understandably furious, and he goes to his bedside cabinet in which he has 2 essential anti-leprechaun items. He has a 4-leaf clover and a pistol.
Wait, is that a thing that they don't like 4-leaf clovers?
I don't know if it's a thing for standard.
It's associated.
I
don't know if they don't like it, but
he gets his 4-leaf clover out, and the leprechaun goes, "Oh, get it away!" Which gives Dan just the opening to shoot him in inverted commas dead. But then you get some nice ADR that says, "Your bullets won't stop me forever. I'll keep coming back." And but Dan's got an idea of this, and you see him lift up Warwick Davis in the basement and just whazz him into a box. He puts the 4-leaf clover on top of the box and then nails it shut and says, "You'll be cursed." The power of this 4-leaf clover.
About this 4-leaf clover was that like a very small breeze could knock that 4-leaf clover off of that box, and it lasts there for 10 years. It keeps a leprechaun in place in his prison for 10 years. Are we willing to believe that there's not even a slight draft down in that basement? There's not that 4-leaf clover off. I'd sellotape it on the top, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sellotape it off.
I'd get some bloody
just put
industrial strength tape.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Once he was in there, Dan could have taken his time, but he doesn't. He drags his wife up. The leprechaun cursing him, and he's been a right wind-up merchant. He's in the box. He's like, "Oh, your wife all right from a fall? Don't have a stroke, Dan. Don't do all this other stuff, Dan.
Yeah.
Don't whenever you do have a heart attack, Dan. Where's me gold, by the way, Dan?" And he's harrying him, and he's trying to get and he's poured petrol all over the place, Dan has, and he's going to burn the leprechaun up. But unfortunately, the matches go out, and he's clutching his chest, so he's had some kind of heart attack, and the leprechaun.
Is this because the leprechaun is really lucky? Like, why? Is it his powers? Has he made that happen? Or
I always assumed that Dan had just had a real stressful half hour.
yeah. And he was he had a lot of alcohol in his system as well.
Yeah,
he's just seen his wife die, and he's just had a fight with a leprechaun. You know what I mean? It's a big stressful situation for anybody.
Anyone would have a heart attack at that point. A stroke.
We can only you could have the heart of an Olympic athlete, and you'd still have a heart attack after all that. Yeah.
If you didn't have a heart attack, something to be up.
Yeah.
You're not having a heart attack, are you? Oh, I'm not.
So then there's
there we go.
10 years skip ahead, and then Jennifer Aniston and her dad, who is very overly groomed, I think, for the kind of character that he looks like he's trying to play. I feel like he's taken some. I mean, Andy, you groom your beard, sure, but this guy, like, I swear he's done some serious manscaping on that face.
He's got very designer stubble, hadn't he? He was a very trendy yet rugged dad. Maybe explaining why his daughter's turned out that way, right? Because he likes a bit of DIY, but she likes the luxury, which is what she's complaining about, because she's not in LA, which is where she wants to be. She's in North Dakota.
Is that you're not scared of spiders? That's a fucking tarantula, mate. That's the...
yeah. There was a tarantula.
I'd be terrified of that.
Spider.
That's a big spider.
Yeah.
Jesus. I wasn't necessarily getting father-daughter vibes from them initially. I was like, it's the older man, isn't it? She's cut off with the older dude, but no, father-daughter. So they're renting the O'Grady farmhouse for the summer. Who set this up? You know what I mean? One of them's dead, and the other one is like, who set this up as like an Airbnb situation?
Also, you really struck it. You said they're renting it for the summer, not that they bought it. Because if they surely it wouldn't be their responsibility to get the fucker painted if it was rented.
That's a good point. It does say this on Wikipedia. Maybe I'm mistaken. But yeah, because they're getting the house repainted by Nathan Murphy, who's like I guess supposed to be the good-looking younger one. His 10-year-old brother Alex, child labor there, and also if they're called Three Guys That Paint, are we willing to believe that this 10-year-old boy has got a stake in this painting company?
In the business.
He comes across as having the most business acumen of the three.
That's true.
Maybe
he's older than he looks. Maybe he's the older brother.
What's going on
Maybe
there
he's
is
a leprechaun.
Nathan is doing 1/3 of the work.
Yeah.
And he's got his 10-year-old brother Alex and a dim-witted guy. Well, he's described as dim-witted here. Maybe he's got some sort of learning disability.
Yeah.
But he's got these guys, and what he's doing there is he's screwing them over. He's taking most of the money. He's going, oh, what's that? Yeah, $5 for you, $5 for you. And he's taking most of the funds home with him.
Flirting with the clientele.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where they all meet, right? I've got on my notes here that painters featuring alien abductee and wisecracking kid, and they're painting it. And my next note here is the most awfully painted house ever. They're painting it a combination of sky blue and red in a really haphazard way.
Yeah, it's like they're painting it like the American flag or something.
Yeah. And then obviously Ozzy at some point gets paint all over him as well.
Yeah, and it's like a proper like wah wah moment. Like you hear like a crash outside. I think it interrupts some of their flirting because Jennifer Aniston's about to leave, and then she bumps into the painter. He gives her, like, I would say, the tiniest bit of shit about being scared of spiders, and she's like,
"Yeah,
fine then. I'm going to stay here and renovate this whole house, even though my character has established that is not my thing at all."
Yeah, she's literally basically saying, in order to prove this guy wrong, she's going to go against everything she currently stands for.
Yeah,
just to make a point.
And again, it wasn't a little spider. It was a hand.
It was a huge.
It was like a reanimated
spider.
Corpse hand that's come to life and it's going to bite him. It was terrifying. I saw two spiders in here. They were like the daddy long legs ones, and I'm normally fine with them, but there was two of them, and they started to like caress each other's legs, like they were like hands doing that. It was really creepy,
and it was upsetting.
It was very upsetting. Yeah,
he stormed out the house to get a hotel. Thankfully, after a painter outside said, "Let's get a bit of Daddy Long Legs," that you went, "Not scared. I'll be back in then."
No.
Went back in. And this is where, like, we encounter the leprechaun for the first time, right? So they decide that they're going. That Jennifer Aniston, whose name I don't believe I've written down anywhere, she can just be Jennifer Aniston. So she's going to
Tori
Redding, yeah.
Tori is going to go back into the house to offer some lemonade to the painters as they also renovate the basement, only for like a massive load of paint sheets to be dropped on her, and it wakes up the leprechaun who's asleep in the box.
Yeah.
And then at that point,
my gold. Where's my
he
gold?
does. That's his first thought. Last thought before he goes to sleep. First thought when he wakes up.
It's been 10 years. 10 years. Get over the gold, mate.
You haven't had it for 10 years. And he opens up the Leprechaun playbook and he's right, how to get out of an enclosed space. And he was like, I've got a trick for that. I'll do a little kiddie's voice, won't I? and someone will get out. So then, in inverted commas, their words, not ours, dim-witted painter Ozzy, after having a shower, having paint spilled on him, is just milling about in the house, and he hears a little voice from down the basement like, "Please, sir, I'm locked in the basement. I'm suffocating in this box." And he goes, "Oh, really? What's going on here?" And Ozzy doesn't open the nailed shut box. He brushes the four-leaf clover, which, as Luke has pointed out, has not blown off or simply perished in the air over the 10%.
It has gone very brown, though.
Yeah,
it's like super brown.
Why does he brush it off? Surely you just, I don't know, you try and get into the box somehow. You wouldn't go, right, I'll get into this box in a minute. I'll brush this leaf off the top first. That's good.
I'll get this weightless detritus off the top of the box before I try and open it. But yeah, as soon as he's done that, the leprechaun, he knows all about it, and he bursts out and he says things like, "Oh, Jack, the gold buckles on my shoes there," and he wants to know. He says, that he's a shoemaker by trade. Important fact. This will be important later. Remember that. and he is desperate to know the location, his words, of me gold. And he threatens Ozzy, if you didn't tell me where me gold is, I will bite your ear off and make some type of shoe item out of it. Like, make a nice brogue, make a nice high top out of his bitten off ear that he'll
And Ozzy's terrified, isn't
he tears out of the house, understandably so. But unfortunately, you've picked the one character in this film who, in his opening line of dialogue, talks about a time he was abducted by aliens. So no one believes him that he's seen a leprechaun.
I did see a leprechaun. I did.
Do you think if any of the other characters had claimed to see a leprechaun, do you think they wouldn't have said it, or do you think they would have equally just found them not credible in this situation? Are they just being biased against Ozzy?
What would you say if you'd seen a leprechaun and you had to tell someone that this leprechaun's going to bite my ear off? What would you say to someone?
I'd say there was a rotten little bloke dressed like a leprechaun.
Yeah, a rotten little bloke. He was in a crate and he smashed out a crate. Right, I think it was 4-leaf clover. Pretended to be a kid. I'd be like, "Are you all right? Have you been drinking paint thinner down there in the basement?"
What's this bottles of Jameson? Well,
yeah, a 10-year-old bottle of empty Jameson just rolls down the garden path.
But no, whether the folks believe Ozzy or not, it's the leprechaun. He does stop Ozzy escaping. When Ozzy tries to run away from it first, he does a little pose, and a little bit of green magic makes the door close. But Ozzy is only inconvenienced slightly, and he's able to open the door and escape. And he goes, me powers are too weak. I'm going to need...
My powers are too weak.
My powers are too weak because I've been separated from me gold for too long. But so we know that the leprechaun has a degree of magic powers, but can only use them.
What does the leprechaun want with the gold? Does it want to spend it? Does it just want to have it in its possession?
He's just like a covetous little beast, isn't he? Because he's in the very, very beginning scene, isn't he? About talking about how much he loves gold.
He's like my uncle who used to have like all these VHS videos where every VHS you'd ever want to watch, like RoboCop 2 and stuff. And if you ever borrowed one, he'd hound you until he got it back because he just liked to have his VHS videotapes. He was exactly like that.
What does your uncle look like?
Quite short.
He's got a small man.
He is
stripy
quite short.
socks.
He is quite leprechaun-y. Yeah.
Does he speak in what some might claim was a fake Irish accent?
No, but he does speak in...
Me videos! You've had me videos! I had 100 videos here this morning. Now I got none. 99, sorry. Have you got RoboCop?
It was RoboCop 3, actually, and there was I wasn't even that keen on it. It wasn't very good. RoboCop's got a jetpack in it.
I know what you mean.
But he wants it back. He doesn't want to watch it. He just wants that in his collection.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly how this happens, but Ozzy and the little kid, Alex, find the gold.
They go to the bottom of the rainbow, don't they?
Of course, Ben.
Oh, rainbow.
Textbook. Where do you find the gold? Why didn't the leprechaun just look out for a rainbow rather than go around asking? You should know this. You should know.
He doesn't know
the fundamentals of this.
He didn't read the instruction manual that came with the gold.
You're right. They find it in a wrecked car. You should have like an iPhone app. Find my gold.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. So you're right, Ben. Ozzy and Alex find it in a wrecked car. We assume this is where Dan O'Grady hid it 10 years previous before his heart attack. And they find it. Of course, knowing how to test if gold is real, Ozzy goes to give it a bit of a bite. Fortunately, he bites it a little bit too hard and swallows one of the golden coins.
I don't know how that would happen. I have no idea how you could bite it wrong.
Bite it. So maybe thinks I'm going to bite it with my very back tooth.
Yeah. Okay. But then, like, there has to be like someone has to shock you. But you go, I like to do the inhalation part. Of it.
Did you know, as soon as he did this, did you know exactly how this was going to be used in the plot later?
Yeah.
I feel like I just knew. I immediately just knew.
A missing coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Silly Ozzy. So they're talking about keeping the money, so they stash it in this old well, and they plot to keep it for themselves, so they can get an operation to fix Ozzy's brain.
Yeah.
That is the plot to like a cartoon. When like an idiot character suddenly becomes, oh, well-to-do, hello, of course, well, I've had it all operational on the old noggin, and now I'm...
This bit made me sad, though. Like, I don't know, maybe in the 90s this would have been... I would have received it differently. But, like, you know, the little boy, Alex, is like, oh, we can get an operation on your brain so people won't make fun of you so much. He was like, oh, people make fun of me. It's a genuine, heartfelt, sad moment now. And it's like people, they don't make fun of you to your face, just behind your back. And I was like, probably would have been a joke at the time, but now this has made me deeply unhappy.
Yeah.
How, as Alex, a 10-year-old boy, ended up best mates with like a man in his late 30s, I'm assuming. I don't know. What do you think? A man in his late 30s with a learning disability, dressed like Mr. Tumble, not very good at painting houses, was abducted by aliens. How have they crossed paths in life and gone, you know what? Friends forever.
I think it's probably because Alex has been forced by his older brother Nathan into basically a work environment, and an adult with, you know, more childlike qualities is probably the closest he has to a friend, because he doesn't associate with any children his own age. So in many ways, is Nathan the villain of this story? I mean, at least the leprechaun is only obeying his nature. Who would have thought was probably the most philosophical discussion we've had, and it's about the leprechaun.
We'd need to find out, I think, if Alex was being paid a fair wage. Even though it is illegal, if he was getting a fair wage, I could kind of think. And if it was a summer-only thing, I hope to think that Alex hasn't been taken out of school just for this.
It looks quite
summery. The summer holidays. It is the summer holidays, because they're there for the summer.
Yeah.
That's true.
And maybe all of his friends are away at summer camp.
And he's saving up for Mega Drive 2 or whatever. Yeah, this is how he's going to pay for it.
Yeah. If any listeners are from North Dakota and an expert on labour laws in the 90s, do get in touch. On the socials.
Yeah.
Be
interesting to find that out.
Okay.
But yeah, he's off to get him an operation, and then we return to the main scene where Nathan and Tori are doing their house painting again, having, you know, ridiculed Ozzy and Alex are running off towards the end of the rainbow, and we see another sign of the times where Tori assumes that from underneath the car, Nathan is caressing her leg, and she gives like a sort of a fake Nathan.
Oh yeah. Sign over the times.
Like stop touching me up, and then he steps out of the house along with her dad, and he's like, she suddenly panics. It's the leprechaun caressing her leg, by the way, and as she panics, he gives her a scratch. They run to her aid, and she points out like, oh. Like there's probably just a cat or something. They go, no, I know what it feels like when a man caresses my leg, and the dad is like,
yeah,
do you?
You do? The dad goes, oh,
oh what? But then
also, that's a weird way to flirt. You just hide under a table.
I would go to that point, and until the leg caressing. It had been going quite well, you know.
These days it's all Tinder, but back when we were growing up, it was all under the table, ankle stroking.
Under the table,
ankle stroking.
And if they don't like it, pretend to be a cat.
Pretend to be a cat, away. Scratch, and then run round the back of the house.
Hide in the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, so no, what me, mate? No.
But it wasn't a cat, it was a leprechaun. They think they've seen the cat hidden in a hollowed out tree. So Dad, in one of his final appearances in the film, despite not dying, he reaches into the hollowed out tree to get
why
why
would this be a good idea? Does it? Cats. What cat would react good to like a giant hand reaching into this hang?
Yeah, but unfortunately, even a worse thing than a cat biting you is if I were a leprechaun in a tree.
Yeah, that bite's pretty gnarly, and everyone's like, "Oh, that cat's bit you," and I'd be like, "That cat's got human teeth." What the fuck?
Yeah. So the whole gang gets together and they take Dad to the hospital. Ozzy and Alex use this opportunity to take their coins into the pot of gold into town to have a local shopkeeper,
reliable pawn shop owner, to see if the gold is pure. We also do get a leprechaun who follows them on a tricycle, and the footage of him on a tricycle has been sped up, obviously, to a ridiculous degree, just to make it more fun, I guess.
There is an awful lot, and we'll come to a few of these. There's a fair amount. This is like the opposite of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. They talk about how much of the show in there was filmed in slow motion. A good 20% of this film is sped up.
Oh yeah. The episodes weren't long enough.
The
episodes were too short, so we had to slow it down.
Is it trying to make him look like a little bit otherworldly, supernatural?
I think it looks funny.
I think it's funny. Yeah.
I just think it looks funny.
Yeah, but they must have been trying to make the leprechaun scary. I guess they weren't trying to make it too funny.
I think they were trying to go for Nightmare on Elm Street 4, that kind of level of like humor horror. I don't know. Did they pull it off?
This is going for the critters market, isn't it?
Yeah.
That type of thing. We have quite bloody, gory violence, but then outright slapstick moments. And this is the first of many fast motion leprechaun vehicles. I think he has about 5 over the course of the film. We'll check the others up as we go.
Yeah.
But he is straight off after them into town. So you're right. The two of your 3 dudes that paint nip to the pawn shop to get an opinion on the gold, and the pawn shop owner, says, "Oh, if it's pure gold, they're worth about 100 quid each. If there's historical value,
who knows? Sky is the limit.
Sky's the limit." And then he goes, "Oh, do you mind if I keep one of these and do some more study of it overnight? Because I, as a general pawn shop owner, a shop that appears to sell toys largely as well, it's probably going to mean I'm going to need like 20 minutes to sit and have a read of this after hours." So he gives them a receipt and he keeps it in his safe, and the guys go off to join the other 2 for dinner. Unfortunately, though, as they step away, literally it's almost immediate, right? They go to leave and he goes, "Right, now I've closed. Now I will have a look at the coin."
Oh yeah, so he's getting it out of the safe, or is he putting it in?
Maybe he's going to put it in, so the leprechaun would just have it, wouldn't he? But when he opens the safe, another one from the Leprechaun playbook, he's in a tight item that someone opens up. So there he is in the safe, and he gives he gives the pawn shop owner's arm a bit of a bite, and leaves him writhing in agony on the floor. Snatches the coin. He goes, "Me coin!" and takes it off him.
That's me coin. If the leprechaun can sense his gold, which obviously he can because he's followed them all the way to the pawn shop, how could he have not sensed it when it was just like
North Dakota?
How could he not have sensed it when it was like in a car, in a dilapidated car outside the house? He's like, "Where's that bloody gold? I ain't got a clue."
Maybe if you notice after they find the single coin in the car, then the rest of the bag just materializes in a way that is never addressed by anyone. Maybe you cannot find the bag of coins when it's invisible. Maybe that's the subtle law of the leprechaun.
Yeah, the subtle law of the leprechaun. So then he kills the pawn shop owner, doesn't he? How does he kill him? He just gets
he pogo sticks on him while doing a modified version of Knick Knack Paddywhack Give a Dog a Bone. Singing "This Old Lep," and he pogoed on his lung. But cut his face quite badly while pogoing on his chest somehow. But there's the bit. This is the one bit of slow motion as he's pogoing towards the shop. He's like, "No! Oh no!" And then he pogos all over him. And then as he walks away, for me, one of the lines in the movie here where, mentioned it's important that he's a shoemaker. He has a quick peek at him. He goes, "God, dirty shoes now." And he gives
dirty shoes.
And he gives his shoes a little clean.
Again, I didn't know that was a thing about leprechauns, that they were cobblers. I did not know that was a known thing about them. Yeah.
Maybe just this one.
I looked it up. Apparently, that's their job. They're fairies who are cobblers and bankers.
Bankers. That's because the gold.
Yeah.
And he counts that gold up pretty quick later on.
Where's my gold?
So yeah. Meanwhile, the others have a fairly uneventful scene where they have a little bit of an argument about Tori's slightly hypocritical vegetarianism because she still wears leather shoes, and she wants a salad. But then, by and large, with Dad safely in hospital and out of the plot.
Sorry, the most horrible moment in this movie is that thing that guy's eating.
It's that meatloaf. It's gross.
Yeah,
it's like
it does look horrible, doesn't it? Yeah.
I thought it was a chocolate pudding. Like it had like
a sack of shite.
It was a chocolate sack of shite. It did not look bad.
Maybe the meatloaf itself is fine. I think the gravy is a bad consistency.
What was that? That wasn't gravy, was it?
I don't know. It's bad gravy.
It was velvety.
It looks
all
like
skin. It was all skin.
They had a pot of gravy on the boil at the back for a couple of weeks before they decided to spoon it onto the.
They have to roll it out of the pan to get it onto the meat.
It's like Play-Doh gravy. It's no good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's enough now. That's enough. I did have a little bit of a gag at the thought of that.
a bit gippy. But so the family, the gang all head back to the ranch. No one's going to stay with their dad in hospital. They're just like, well, see you in the morning, Dad.
He's lucky, if anything. He's completely out of he's completely out of it now.
The next morning, he's going to go, "What happened last night? What?"
Yeah. You'll never guess what.
But you know who's going to get ahead of them in another bit of fast motion action? The Leprechaun has taxed a ton of stuff from that shop, and he's driving back in a little go-go Power Wheels back down to the ranch.
Yeah, he gets pulled over by the cops, doesn't he?
He gets pulled over by the cops. This is absolutely bizarre.
The cop who, I know he's not necessarily a detective, he's a deputy, but he first mistakes him for a child.
Are you old enough to be driving? He's like, I'm 600 years old.
And then he immediately goes that, like, oh, fucking A. And he makes fun of it. So, well, if you think he's a kid, you probably wouldn't be horrible to him. And he's like, it's not nice to make fun of the leprechaun. And he's like, oh, so you're a leprechaun now. Right, smart ass, out of the car. And the leprechaun gives him a face grab.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing to his face. He just keeps grabbing it. It just
covers it in like a raspberry jam.
Yeah. Just had jam all over his hands, just shoving his face.
It's like that Tango advert where he goes his face.
You know what the guy should have done, which we all did when we were kids, if you get someone's hand on your face? You lick the palm.
You lick the palm. Yeah, and he goes, oh! But he doesn't think of that. I guess he showed himself not to be the brightest deputy. But he does what is usually, maybe this is really challenging the gender stereotypes of late 80s, early 90s films. We see a male character stumbling and running into the woods while pursued by a killer.
Yeah.
He sort of does a lot of like peekaboo behind the trees. I
did find that kind of funny when he was like, I'm over here. Oh, I'm over here.
Yeah. But after the guy, like, he stopped his spirit, he fires all of his bullets at him, and then he sits down and like goes, oh, despite the fact I've not gone any further away from where the leprechaun just was, I am safe.
I am safe.
But the leprechaun then jumps out of the tree and breaks his neck.
Yeah.
Like quite like a Black Widow from the Marvel movies type of move, right? He jumps around his head and like twists him. Yeah, and then he gives him like a little quip, and then my notes here say kills deputy, comma, then wrecks cereal cupboard. He then heads on back to the house, and it turns out that when they came away to this cabin for the summer, the dad packed in quite a wide variety of cereals for just the two of them. And he's got them some Lucky Charms, which he immediately eats and then spits out. Not a fan.
He knows his daughter can be really fussy, so he's like, I don't want to make sure breakfast time is a completely safe space for her.
I've got waffles. I've got Golden Grahams. I've got
Golden Grahams. Yuck!
No watercress salad.
Yeah, that's what she wanted. A watercress salad.
Watercress salad and a mineral water. Well, I'm eating this bloody gravy and a milk meatloaf. It's bloody lovely. Veganism. Shove it.
No, he's not a fan.
That's his attitude.
So they're debating it while they get back, only to return to find the cereal cupboard wrecked, but all the shoes neatly arranged and cleaned on the kitchen table. They walk in and establish that they've probably been burgled. And this is the bit that gets me. So they've had the house turned over. No one believes there's a leprechaun or anything going on awry. I forget what they surmise that the disturbance has been, but Nathan nips on outside to investigate a noise, only to step on a bear trap, and the leprechaun just to rather unceremoniously reveal himself and go, "Here, got you in," and he's dancing around him going, "Caught you in a bear trap. Caught you in a bear trap. P.S. Where's me gold?"
Doesn't he bite nibbles his shoulder or something?
He's having a bite at him, but this is the bit where literally I've made it here. This is like team beatdown. Like everyone runs out, and despite the fact they're quite scared of him later on, at this point they all just run outside and beat him up. Like Jennifer Aniston like twats him in the face with a stick. Nathan just punches him. They're all like giving him a kicking, and then Jennifer Aniston the kid Alex grabs a shotgun from the painter's truck where they keep a shotgun, and they blast him, and he falls off into the bushes. And he does like proper like dead fall, doesn't he? Like they obviously replaced Warwick Davis with the dummy, but he just like goes.
To be fair, he ends up on his ass a lot. There are loads of times where he's on his ass, or he's like, "Is he dead?" I'm just scrolling down a second on Wikipedia. Apparently, he does have a name, the leprechaun. Did you miss this?
What's his name?
Oh, I think he has a name in some of the others. They mention it. What's his name?
Lubdan. Lubdan the leprechaun.
Lubdan the leprechaun.
What on earth? Lubdan the leprechaun. And it's, still Lubdan the leprechaun in number 2. It's not a very catchy name, is it?
Maybe that's
Daniel O'Grady.
Daniel O'Grady.
Daniel O'Grady's that's a better leprechaun name.
Daniel.
So he eats shit and he gets knocked out very briefly after their team beat down. But then because Nathan's caught a bear trap to the leg, they're going to go back to the hospital. They're probably going to be thinking things of you there. That same group of people turn up with yet another injury. But the leprechaun is, again, he's got into an enclosed space. He's got into the engine, has chewed it all up, so they can't start the truck. And then he gets out, and despite the fact they've all beaten him up earlier on, now he's got them on the ropes. He goes in and he bites Ozzy's ear, and then quickly runs off after
make a little dodge him car thing.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, there's a little go-kart, didn't they?
Jennifer Aniston fends him off by burning him with a cigarette lighter from the truck. Yeah. And he cocks it right in the nose, and he runs inside, and you hear like engineering noises. He's doing like a Mr. T, where he's building like a little go-kart, which he then tears out of the barn and hits them with such force that it flips their car.
He's also got like a little horn on the little go-kart. Like you have to build that as well.
It plays the cucaracha or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a genuine lol
fantastic.
when it sort of knocked the car flying.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, he knocks them over. He knocks over the car. He flips them. They all abandon ship and run back into the house. They chop off his arm with a door because You ever done that? Your mum and dad ever warn you about that when you're a kid? Oh, don't chase and slam doors on each other, kids, because apparently doors in standard residential houses have edges so sharp they could sever your hand. Because they chop his hand up in the door, and his hand crawls up and like gives him the finger, and then lets itself back out, and he reattaches it, and then he does a bit of magic. He does a bit of like magic appearing, like they sever his hand, and then he's. Oh, is this where the guys reveal that his gold, they have got it, so maybe they could just give it back to him. So
yeah, and then Tori goes and gets the bag of gold from the well, gives it to Leprechaun, and then they pretty much think that's it, don't they? They're like, right, we're giving him his gold back. And I think everyone watching is remembering that one bit of gold in Ozzy's stomach at this point. We're like, it's not going to be as easy as that. And then we do get a scene where the Leprechaun is counting the gold. 96? Oh, yes, so very nice. 97? Oh, brilliant, yes. 98?
You can see at that point there's less than 2 left.
Yeah, less than 2 left. He must be able to see. 99? What? And he's just as angry about that one coin being missing as he was when it was all missing.
Yeah, he's furious. Unfortunately, though, now he has more magic because he has most of his gold.
Yeah. So
his magic is...
He's Doctor Strange now.
Yeah, his magic is out the wazoo now. He's got quite a lot of magic. I think at the point where Tori gives him the magic is where she gives him the gold from the well, is where we get the classic line of the movie with "I'm the Leprechaun," which is like his I Am Batman moment, I guess. And what later?
I'm the Leprechaun, bitch.
Yeah, this is where this was my first encounter with the film, because I think many years before I saw the Leprechaun in the actual 90s, I'd seen Wayne's World 2, where he does his impression of it, where it's on Wayne's World, and he's like, "I'm the Leprechaun," and he's like, "No." But yeah, now he's very magic, and he's appearing in all the different cupboards and teasing them. He's popping out of the cupboards, and they're all trying to take shots at him with a shotgun. He's putting his hand out of the kitchen drawer and grabbing a fistful of balls from Nathan. He's making a tiny little hand appear out of the phone and caress Jennifer Aniston's face. Yeah. Out the Freddy playbook.
He does get shotgunned quite a few times, and every time he goes down with like no visible wound, there's no like if you just shotgun someone, there'd be a big hole in him or like at least something. But is he dead?
Bit of green paint.
Yeah, he's dead now. He's dead. Literally nothing on him. Yeah, he's definitely dead.
Just been ragdolled. He's proper like Toy Stories it, like when Andy's coming into the room, shoot him, he just like for a minute.
That's it. This will get him. I love this.
But yeah, he's all over the place. He's tricking them, and then how do they discover the shoe thing? Does someone just throw a shoe at him?
Oh, I'm actually not sure how they discover it. I don't know. Is it this stage that they start doing the shoes?
This is where they start wazzing the shoes out into the garden, and he keeps going back and having to collect it to clean it, because they're taking advantage of a compulsion that he has, as any trained cobbler would. If you go into any cobblers, if you get yourself to a Timpson's, one that does shoes and keys, you can tell what type of training they've had. If you just go in there and wazz a shoe in, they'll have to clean it.
I did like this. This was funny because he kept just going over to him. Going, I don't know. I was properly cracking up at this bit. It lasted about 30 seconds. I could have easily taken 10 minutes of it. It was great. It was great.
Full length movie about his shoe cleaning. But yeah, he goes fantastic. And gets that done. It's made me think, though, if he earned all of his gold from shoe cleaning in Ancient Ireland, maybe he kind of deserves it. If that's his savings. If someone took my savings, I would be angry.
Yeah, it'd be annoying. You'd be annoying.
And bite him.
What is the meaning of this film, really? What is the core metaphor, do you think?
Oh, now you're getting into it, Luke. Now you are getting into it. Don't be stealing anyone's gold.
Are we the leprechaun in this? I don't know.
We were the leprechauns all along. We're the leprechauns, and everyone else who steals his gold, that's taxes. That's the government taxing us.
Yeah.
In many ways, maybe they're both the evils, because it's the leprechaun corporations. Everyone wants the money. They all want it. He's not thinking about how he could have benefited his community with that money. Like, he could have supported Ancient Island and things, a lot of people would have had an easier time. But but he just stole it all away. He doesn't want anyone else to have the money. Yeah, in many ways, the leprechaun gives us all a lot to think about. When you point that finger at someone, you got to think about those three fingers pointing right back at you.
Yeah.
I don't think we get this deep into it, to be fair, with this review, but there we go.
But yeah.
There we go.
At this point, while the leprechaun's cleaning shoes, the guys realise that Dan O'Grady, he ain't dead. He might know something about this. He is just having had a stroke. He's in a mental asylum for some reason.
Yeah. Had a stroke and
I guess his wife was dead and he was found having had a heart attack, absolutely fucked out of his face on whiskey with a dead wife and ranting about a leprechaun. Maybe that's why he's in the asylum, not because he had a stroke. So Jennifer Aniston gets in the operational car. I don't know why they don't all go if they've got an operational car, but she gets on the way to visit Dan O'Grady at the mental asylum. The leprechaun gets another vehicle, and this time follows her on roller skates in fast motion.
Oh yeah, so this is number 4, the 4th type of vehicle or method of transport that he's adopted.
Yeah, there's one to go, and I think the last one might be the winner. So yeah, he roller skates after Tori here, but he's not quite as quick on those ones. So she does get to the hospital, we think, ahead of him. Thankfully, the security guard at the asylum is fast asleep and just has a big clipboard that says like room numbers on it in front of him.
Yeah, where everybody is. Very nice, very handy.
She can take that, and Tori runs off to visit Dan O'Grady's room and finds him facing away from the window, and she comes in and she is to beg for his help and says, "Oh, Mr. O'Grady," and he's like, "Oh yeah. The leprechaun's back, like, oh," and Dan O'Grady says, "Oh, there's only one way to defeat him, but I'll never tell what it is." Why won't you? And he's like, "Because I want me gold." And he turns around and surprise, it's not Dan O'Grady.
I want me gold. Just one coin left. I just want one coin.
And it's not Dan O'Grady at all. It is, of course. We've all been tricked. It's the leprechaun. And he is fully disguised as Dan O'Grady.
It's Love Dan.
It's Love Dan. He's fully disguised as him. He's really committed to it. He's got a wig. He's not wearing his hat. He's somehow appeared as a fully sized man by bulking himself up like rags. And it then begins the final leprechaun vehicle, the wheelchair. And he chases her through the corridors of the hospital into the lift. She's able to close the doors just in time. And then as we're moving, the real Dan O'Grady falls out of the rafters.
Yeah. Why is he up there? How did he get up there?
The leprechaun stuffed him up there.
Yeah, but why?
Imagine that, right? Imagine you'd had a stroke and all this leprechaun shit been happening. 10 years you've been dealing with this.
You finally accept that he's not real. That's exactly what happened. Of your imagination.
And then you're sat there one evening just chilling, and it suddenly just turns up and goes, "I want me gold!"
Get in the shaft.
Shoves you very carefully so as not to damage the lift itself, but precariously balanced above the lift. So he falls down. He is not dead. He has just enough energy to tell her that you've got to get a 4-leaf clover from the clover patch, which is by the house, and you've got to get it on him. You've got to get
It's like, that's what it is. Like, on him. Do you like just place it on him? Do you wave it in his face?
Yeah,
I guess you can do
also, Dan, if you've known this, unless it's a revelation you've had in the 10 years since your era, like, why didn't you put it on him? Because you had him in that box, dead. You could have just gone, on you.
Yeah, but he just said to put it on the box. I think he panicked, didn't he?
Yeah, he was drunk as well, as we know.
He was tanked right up. And, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so with this information, Tori is able to outrun the leprechaun, get back in the car, and head back to the ranch while he pursues her in his wheelchair. She gets back. Oh, I also had a note on this one that when Dan O'Grady falls out of the lift, go back and watch this, folks listening at home. There are literally a plethora of tears on Jennifer Aniston's face at that point. They've clearly gone wild with the effect. She's got about 10 tears escaping down her face as this happens. On the way back, Jennifer Aniston, Tori, she sees a police car. Forgot to mention that Ozzy has, of course, phoned the police. They didn't believe him because it's Ozzy and he phoned up about Bigfoot the previous week. Tori's also tried to phone the police, but the leprechaun was pretending to be him.
Boy that cried Bigfoot.
Yep.
There we go.
The leprechaun has pretended to be the policeman that he's murdered on the radio, so no more police are coming. Jennifer Aniston sees a police car, only to find the policeman dead and the leprechaun attacks her. But she puts his eye out with a baton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she got him. Got him!
And he takes the cop's eye and pops it in his own.
Yeah, a concept which would be entirely used in Jeepers Creepers 15 years later.
Oh, yeah. That is exactly how eyes work as well.
Yeah.
Then when Tori gets back to the farmhouse, she basically just goes to the clover patch, which is just there on the ground, and she starts searching for a four-leaf clover. And I felt like it was a hopeless endeavor already at this point, but then she gets to a point where she's like, "Oh, it's never going to find one."
She loses her temper with Ozzy.
That's what's so magic about him. Ozzy.
She loses her temper and said, "I'm fed up with you, mate. Fed up of it."
I've never found one, and I've always looked. Whenever I've been sat down and I've seen some clovers, I've always looked. I've never ever found one before. Have you?
Yeah.
Are they real?
It's because they're supposed to be rare. You shouldn't be able to just go and look for one and immediately find one if there was a bloody leprechaun after you. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe your problems, though, Ben and Luke. Maybe you've never found one because, much like Ozzy says, when Tori's had a go at him, is that you've lost your faith. You're not believing. Ozzy, in many ways, is the Parappa the Rapper of his generation because he is a big advocate. He's a big advocate, and that you've got to believe. And then
that's all it takes to be the Parappa the Rapper of any movie or game.
You've got to believe whether it's learning karate or finding a four-leaf clover. You've got to believe. And when she says that, quite unconvincingly, she goes, "Oh, fine." She's literally sitting there with her finger up to Ozzy. Go, "Fine, Ozzy, I believe," and then immediately finds me. And
that's how it works.
Meanwhile, Alex has gone off and got himself in a spot of bother because he hasn't done much in the plot for a while, so has gone to set up a bear trap to try and catch the leprechaun. But the leprechaun's onto him and is about to shove his face into it when the others come and find him.
Yeah.
Ozzy reveals that he has
swallowed the bloody coin.
So the leprechaun's he's very happy that he's got it, but immediately takes the gold buckle off his shoe and starts slashing Ozzy right up.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal.
Then
dude.
We get old Dennis the Menace using his Dennis the Menace powers. He gets the slingshot out. It's a cool little idea, I think. I mean, he kind of wads up the four-leaf clover
in some chewing gum, and then says,
"Classic.
Hey you, fuck you, Lucky Charms," and then fires the projectile of four-leaf clover and chewing gum into the leprechaun, and it gets right in his gob, and he starts to melt like Stripe at the end of Gremlins.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why you shouldn't swallow gum. But
I'd say that's exactly why. I mean, his stomach's going to be a little bit full for 7 years at least, having swallowed that gum.
It's a pretty cool effect. I think it's maybe the best effect in the whole film, him dying. It's his face kind of melting away. And then he falls into the well, or
falls into the well.
Yeah, well, he comes back as like a sort of skeleton not so long after it, doesn't he?
And says,
but then they burn the well. I want to be gold. He used to be fuming. Now he's got none of the gold again.
But they burn him. You're right. They burn him up. Do they? Who has the gold at the end?
They don't just burn him up. They blow up the well. Like the well completely explodes.
Yeah.
What do they throw down there? Like, do they have petrol, or is it paint thinner from their paint?
It is like petrol. I think they use that.
Yeah. I don't know where his gold is.
Go.
I mean, still in Ozzy.
What is he? Where's me gold?
I guess it's
they've got at least one gold coin left, even if the others were in the Leprechaun's pocket when he fell into oblivion. They've still got the one in Ozzy's tummy.
I just remembered that Daniel O'Grady, he said he won, or he got the gold fair and square. Like, would he have made some sort of deal, or like played?
He said he caught the Leprechaun and made him show him where the gold was.
Yeah.
If the Leprechaun Origins doesn't contain this, then we should really look to acquire the rights ourselves and make this.
Yeah. Yeah. It says the authorities arrive at the end. I don't know if I remember that. I remember the dad coming back.
Yeah, the dad's coming back. What's going to happen here?
Yeah.
Where's my cereal?
My cereal's
Could
on the floor.
I'd have had breakfast at the hospital. If I specifically, the nurse come round and they said, "Oh, do you want some breakfast?"
I got some home.
I packed for the summer. I've got waffles. I got Fruit Loops. I've got other cereals that are available in this country. Lucky Charms, the works, all gone.
So we've got some trivia. I've got like an extra one that I wasn't going to do, but I'll throw out because the only reason I'm not going to do it because I don't quite know the answer, but maybe you can tell me. So number one is, what was the brand of the cereal that the Leprechaun ate from and then threw away in disgust?
So, them Lucky Charms.
Well, it says here,
Charms, isn't it? Yeah.
they didn't use Lucky Charms in the end. They replaced the brand name with an obvious spoof. But I thought they were Lucky Charms. I didn't see what they actually were. And it was because the General Mills, I guess, is the cereal people who make the cereal.
Yeah.
They gave the permission, but then revoked the permission because they didn't like the film or something like that. So they also changed the kids' line at the end from "Your luck just ran out" to "Fuck you, Lucky Charms" as a sort of.
It did strike me as a weird line, but that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the obvious spoof called?
I don't know. I was gonna take a look, but
I assumed it was Lucky Charms, just because maybe this is also an important lesson about trademarks. That actually the color and font is as important as the name itself, because my brain's doing all that work.
Yeah, I thought it was Lucky Charms. It was only when I saw the trivia but it doesn't say what they changed it to.
Mucky Charms, that'd get him.
Okay, number two. Which big-time Hollywood director got special thanks credit in the movie, and why?
George Lucas for giving Warwick Davis winning that competition.
Well, it was George Lucas. He received special thanks credit because Warwick Davis was under contract to him, and he gave Davis permission to use his Warwick in the movie.
You could use my Warwick for this one, yeah, but make sure every time he's on the screen he's sped up.
Yeah, I have the rights to him at regular speed, but
yeah.
So
right.
The next few questions are going to be fact or fiction. I'm going to give you a thing, a fact or a fiction about leprechauns. You need to tell me if it's true or false. Number three. So, leprechaun, the word, means small body in Middle Irish. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say
fact.
Fact.
Let's say fact. Why not? Small body.
True. Yeah, it is in fact means small body in Middle Irish. The next one: leprechauns are real. Fact or fiction?
Well, that's definitely true. We watched the film, right?
Yeah,
Come on, Luke.
There's a series of 8 or 9 documentaries about leprechauns through history.
We've seen him in The Hood, and
twice.
that's definitely not fiction.
The Hood, Space,
Cool.
2.
True. It is in fact facts. Leprechauns are real. Okay, last one. No, it's
It is in fact fact.
What do you never get? Oh, this is in the facts phase. This is a question. What do you never get with leprechauns?
You never get
blue.
Dirty shoes.
Green. Dirty shoes. Yes, that's a much better answer.
There is that, but you never get women. There's no such thing as female leprechauns. They just don't exist. The males do, but the females don't.
What did you Google to find out that?
Just facts about leprechauns.
Just Google
lady
leprechauns.
I was looking for lady leprechauns for
Zero
ages.
results.
Zero results. 0 hits on female leprechauns. You dirty boy.
Okay.
Oh,
I just realised.
Yeah.
I'm outraged that I didn't get that one because I think the leprechaun seeking a wife is the fundamental plot point of either number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Ah, interesting.
I think
Okay.
it's number 2. I just took a look, and number 2.
Bride of Leprechaun. Okay, last one.
Keep back me gold.
Finish the tagline. The look of the Irish. Blank, blank, blank.
Has run out.
The Irish. Oh, it's pretty good. The luck of the Irish. Give me back my gold.
Look, the Irish wants me gold.
Yeah, just ran out. The look of the Irish just ran out.
Ah.
In a little car.
In a little car. Just ran out on rollerblades. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well done. You got them all right. We need to rate the film now.
Oh.
I don't know what. I think you guys might go in a bit higher than me. I don't know. You seem really
This
into
is
it.
difficult because, like, it was really entertaining. It did make me want to watch the other films. Like, when I think about the other films, I don't think, oh God, I'd avoid them. I think, no, I want to see them. However, like, I can appreciate the fact that in terms of, it's very schlocky, it's very cheesy, very B-movie style, isn't it? And doesn't take itself too seriously. Maybe that's what I like about it. But obviously, in comparison to other films we've reviewed on the podcast, don't want to take it too far. But I'd probably give it a B-.
Whoa! Behave yourself, Jesus Christ!
I was going to say C. I was going to say C+, and literally within a tiny split second, I went for a B-.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, what about you?
I have the same conundrum as Ben because I know, like, I'm not even facing the same pressures that I've reviewed all the things. I primarily turn up when we're dealing with more stupid films anyway. But I was toying with this all day. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, okay, is it a low C? But I've had so much fun talking about this film today, and just like going back over it. It's fun to watch. I'm not going to go quite as wild as Ben, but I'm going to say that this gets a C from me. It's fun. It's a fun horror movie.
It's not as good as Cat People.
It's no Cat People, it's no Monkey Shines, but it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go in a bit lower. I think it's a fun film. I just think the non-leprechaun scenes were kind of boring. I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was as fun as, say, Jack Frost, which I think is a similar sort of dumb. Maybe
yeah,
more
I can't.
So.
You know my feelings about Jack Frost. I'm pretty sure. I don't record my ratings when I join you guys, but I'm pretty sure that's a solid B for me though.
Yeah.
Jack Frost is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go with like a C-. I think it's a lot of fun. I'd like to see if there's because this is the first one, which is the one that people, because I don't know the Leprechaun franchise that well, which is the one where people say, oh, that's the Friday the 13th Part 6 of the Leprechaun franchise. Do you know what I mean?
It's gotta be in the hood, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about Leprechaun in the Hood. Personally, for me, I love space. The space one, number 4, is a lot of fun. But Leprechaun in the Hood is it's got some moments. I can see why that has become a cult one as well.
Okay, all right. I'll probably check that one out then. I think give that a go. And also, I kind of want to watch the new one because I did hear good things about that, so that'd be interesting.
The same actor reprises his role as Ozzy in that. I learned yesterday.
But yeah, this one C-.
No
Can't go
way.
higher than it.
Cannot go any higher than that, and I will not.
I shan't.
So you can follow. Thanks for listening. You can follow me at Luke of Condor of K. You can follow Andy at Super Andy T.
83. Yeah.
83. You can follow Ben at
just underscore
at Ben Errington. Ben_Errington. 03.
Correct.
That's your email. Ben.
Yes.
Ben_Errington. Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's one of them. You'll find me somewhere, mate. There we go. What we doing next week?
What's on the docket?
Well, on the docket, and there's one glaring. I was looking at the docket, and I noticed we haven't done Friday the 13th. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but which one do you do? Because you can't do the first one. That's not a Friday the 13th movie. I mean, it is. I mean, it's by name.
You
but
gotta
it's not a
start.
Friday the 13th.
You gotta start somewhere though.
Yeah, but
Gotta
not.
start
If someone
somewhere,
asked
yeah.
me like which one should I watch first, I'd say probably 6. I think maybe.
Start with 6. Start with 6 and work backward. Well, that's an option. Maybe we'll put a little poll out of what people want to see next because we've got a few. There's a few on there like Friday the 13th, and there's a couple of like classics. We were going to do like The Mummy and The Wolfman. We talked about doing From Beyond. Fright Night is on the list as well. That could be a good one.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
The original Saw as well.
Oh,
Maybe
you're featuring one of your favourite actors, right, Ben?
Featuring
Lee
one of my
Wannell.
favourite actors. Who's that?
Yeah, Lee Wannell.
Lee Wannell. Not Lee Wannell. I did have some Lee Wannell shaped horror movie news, but I skipped out of it just at the last moment.
Doing
I was
Wolfman, right, with Ryan Gosling. Is that right?
Apparently, he's officially doing Wolfman. Yeah. How exciting!
I'm happy to see that. I'd like to see him do more. I'd like to see him do more of his own stuff as well, though. I think he's a franchise generator, so I'd like to see him.
Yeah.
I'd like to see like another Upgrade style film.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've established you'll watch something next week. Who knows?
We'll watch something. Who knows what it's going to be?
If it's Friday the 13th, guys, wild horses or sped up leprechauns would not keep me away. I'll be back for some Jason.
Yeah, we'll do a poll, see which see what we want to watch.
Yeah, we'll do a little poll. See what people fancy.
Cool. If you enjoyed the episode, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Cowan for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing on iTunes. And remember to join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Join Ben's new Facebook group, Level 1, for horror games. Not exclusively horror games, but all games of all shapes and
All
sizes.
games of all shapes, sizes, and creeds.
Yeah. Level 1, Board of
Board
Advisors.
of Advisors as well.
Cool.
Thought I'd keep that.
Check out Andy's comics at hoardcomics.co.uk.
If you could. Sounds good.
Lovely.
Thanks to my co-host Ben for being a right hard dude. And Andy, of course.
Thank you. You too. You too, Luke.
See you later,
Thanks.
guys.
As always.
Take it easy.
See you later.
Bye.